Okay. So about a week ago, I watched Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And like I saw it with a group of friends. I saw it on IMAX. I saw it with I think the same people I watched Dead Reckoning with. Maybe like one or two people I saw that one with weren't there. But it was more or less the same theater experience. And I remember really, really liking Dead Reckoning. It was 3 hours, and I was like, this feels kind of long, because the other movies are generally closer to about 2 hours. I think Fallout's about 2.5, 2:20, somewhere in that range. So like, alright, it's a little on the long side, but I remember being really engaged. I remember how much I liked the entity and learning about this thing, because in a world now where we have AI, and AI is constantly learning, and it's generating, and it's very controversial, and it's controversial for good reasons. Having this rogue AI is really interesting. And I remember a lot of scenes in the film standing out to me. Like, I remember there was this car chase. I want to say it was like in Rome. I don't remember exactly where it was. I think it was somewhere in Italy, where you have this car chase with like this tiny little car, and it's still like a really like fun action scene while also being incredibly goofy. There's the big action scene at the end where, as you see in the trailer, like Tom Cruise goes off on the plane, or excuse me, like off on the motorcycle, and he jumps off, and he's jumping onto a train, and there's all the cool shit in the train, and then he's trying to escape the train as it's about to fall, kind of like what they did with a helicopter in Fallout. But I'm not gonna lie, I kind of think a train is neater than a helicopter. So I'm like, I remember leaving the movie and saying, this is why we still have theaters. This is why cinemas exist. To go see cool shit like this on a big screen and just be sucked into it. I remember there was this whole scene in the airport. I think it's when they're trying to go after Gabriel, and how they can see him, but it'll just start disappearing because the entity is fucking with them, and you can't trust what you're seeing. I believe Benji was like trying to defuse a bomb, and I think the entity was fucking with him there too, which is making it even more intense, because again, you can't really trust what's going on when you have a rogue AI who can see and hear what you're doing. I think there is like another scene or two I wanted to bring up. My point is, I remember watching this, having a great time. Oh, the other thing is when you actually get the face reveal in that movie, where it's because Ethan has crashed a meeting. I don't know if I want to say it was like the UN, but it was like this really important like security meeting, and he's dressed as like the head of the IMF, and he like gasses no, he's dressed as like the head of the IMF's like assistant, gasses the place, and then like takes the face of the head of the IMF, and that's how he gets out. It's like, this is what I want from a spy movie. This is what I want from an action movie. This rules. I say all that, and I bring all of that up because I did not feel the same way while watching The Final Reckoning, which, from what I remember, it's a title that they reference the title a lot, like, you and I will have our reckoning. It's like, this is your final reckoning, Ethan. I'm like, yeah, whatever. This movie is also like 3 hours. And with Dead Reckoning, I was like, okay, this is a bit long, but I'm consistently engaged. This one, like, Final Reckoning, felt like, probably just going to be calling it 8 for a good chunk of it. MI8, I just felt bored. And occasionally would go, oh, okay, this is kind of neat. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. Like, okay, like, I'm waking up and paying attention to the movie again. It's not like I was tired or anything like that. I just didn't care. So, I was saying earlier that one thing I really liked about Dead Reckoning is the involvement of the entity and, like, how it is affecting the actual mission, how you have to play around it. And that didn't really feel like a thing in here. Like, there's a point where Ethan's like, oh, it's in my head, I gotta go somewhere else, so, team, handle this shit, and I'll handle this shit. And it's like, okay, like, that's kind of neat, but then they end up reconvening anyways, and there's no more, like, having to plan around the thing. It's just, okay. I feel like the really interesting political commentary, maybe not even political, I guess like just social commentary with what's going on with our own world and AI, it's just gone. Okay. But at least the action set pieces are still cool, right? Right? Yeah, I think they're fine. I mean, I probably should have said it already, but in the description, full spoilers, of course, for this movie, I guess the series as a whole. So what are action set pieces? So there's one, I guess the face reveal is technically one, where it's this very, very short fight scene, and even the whole reveal of taking off the mask, like, it's not very dramatic, it's very quick and underwhelming and anticlimactic. There's this whole scene where Ethan and Grace get captured, and Ethan is like, okay, Grace, you have to brace yourself, like, to be tortured. We're just like, okay, that's actually really interesting. Like, what the fuck is about to happen? And Ethan's able to escape, and he, like, beats the shit out of some dudes, and you can hear it, and you see Grace's reaction, but you don't actually see what he's doing. And I guess the idea is supposed to be, oh man, like, he is murdering these, it's super violent and all that shit. I'm like, I don't know, I would have liked to see it. Like, that sounds cool. Why is there cool shit happening off screen? It's an action movie. What are you doing? So, yeah, here's an action set piece, but it's not much of anything. There's this one where Ethan's on a submarine, and he's having a knife fight with a dude, and the rest of the team is, I want to say in Alaska. It was in, I think, the Bering Sea. So if not Alaska, it was somewhere close to it. And they're having, like, a gunfight, fist fight, all kinds of shit with, like, some spies. Like, it's pretty cool. I wasn't crazy about it, and it wasn't like anything was wrong with the scene. I guess I'll say it like this. I thought the actual, like, fist fight, knife fight felt really cool and intense. The other scene that it was being intercut with, I was like, this is good. This is cool. I don't know why I'm not like, yo, this is sick. It's fine. There's a lot of... So one of the big things that happens in this movie, if you've seen the movie... Obviously, if you've seen the movie, you know what it is. If you've seen Dead Reckoning, you probably know what it is. It's Ethan has to go super deep underwater, go into this old Russian submarine to find the entity source code, because that's the only way you can destroy it. I don't know. Maybe it's just because Clay has been reading Lord of the Rings. But, like, it kind of makes me think of, like, well, the ring can only be destroyed where it was forged, and the fire's about doom, so you gotta go into Mordor to get, like, the blueprints for the ring so you can go destroy it. I don't know. But they keep hyping up how dangerous this is, and I can understand why. You are going into... I mean, this is what... I don't think it's in the Arctic Ocean. I think it is the Bering Sea. Like, so this is incredibly cold temperatures, super deep underwater. So not only do you have to make sure that your equipment works so you can breathe, the water pressure is going to be intense, which means as you're coming back up, you are going to be fucked. And a big part of the plan is... I have, like, a tracking device, so my team, I am hoping they will be able to find me and take me out of the ice and have a, like, decompression chamber ready, because if not, I am going to die. The plan is insane. The submarine section is boring as hell. And it shouldn't be. And it doesn't feel like it should be. But I think part of it is, even though they talk about how dangerous this is and, like, intense this is, it's very slow. So I'm not feeling like, okay, like, this is really intense, this is very, like, high-stakes action. It's a lot of just Tom Cruise slowly walking around this, like, dark CGI submarine with big-ass missiles that are tumbling around a little bit and, like, will kind of block his way out. While he has, like, a breathing apparatus. And I don't think there was a point where he ever seemed, like, like, obviously he's worried 'cause he needs to get out of the place, but not like, oh shit, like, it's getting really cold in here, and like, I as a human being am struggling, or I only have like 2 hours of oxygen. Because I don't remember how much time he had with his oxygen. I don't know if they even bring it up. They probably did, but I don't remember. But it didn't feel like for a lot of that scene, he's like, I need to be on my shit. It's very slow. The part when it started to pick up for me is he's trying to escape, and like some shit falls around. He's like, well, I can't go that way. Well, I can't go that way. I guess I gotta go through like this little tight corridor. And like, he can't go because like his bag is blocking it, so he has to like rip off his suit and put his bag in separately, and he goes in, and I look at that and go, okay, he doesn't have the suit on anymore, so now his body is exposed to the elements, and he is deep in freezing cold water. Cool. Like, we obviously had a timer before, now we're on a timer. And also, like, as soon as I thought that in the theater, I kind of started laughing to myself. I was like, what do you know? To me, the scene got interesting when, like, 50-year-old Tom Cruise took his shirt off. That's just kind of funny. But he's able to get off of the thing, and I don't remember what happened, but he ends up taking off, like, his breathing apparatus. So I'm like, okay, now the timer is intensified, and there's this great shot of him, like, sinking upwards, but as he's falling upwards, the camera pans. So, like, when his back is against the ice, it looks like he's just sitting on the ocean floor. I was like, okay, that was cool. Maybe not quite justified the price of admission, but that was really cool, and I'm glad I got to see that on a big screen. What really happens after that? Like, he's in the decompression chamber for a while, he heals, and Grace takes care of him, and like, yay. Like, I don't really like Grace, because I remember just not really liking her in the last movie. I don't hate her, but she's fine, I suppose. I just remember not really buying this new relationship. I didn't really buy it here either, but I guess it's cute. So they have the source code, and they gotta go get the... fuck damn it. So, Luther dies before you get, like, the title card. Which is another one of those things, like, this is the final movie. Like, there's a lot of references to previous films. The entity source code came from the Rabbit's Foot from 3. Like, oh, that's kind of neat. The guy from the first movie who designed the security, I think gets, like, sentenced to Alaska. He shows up in the Alaskan base, and, like, he's a bro and all that stuff. There's a lot of footage of previous films. They're really trying to emphasize, like, this is the last one. This is the last one. It's his final reckoning. Look, here, Luther's dead, like, and he's not going to show up. He's the only other dude to be in every movie. This is definitely the last movie. But Luther was working on, I don't remember exactly what they called it. It's essentially like a virus that'll destroy the entity. And he gave it to Ethan, and then Ethan gives it back to him, and it's like, no, like, you keep this for now, like, because he's like, I got a final message for you here, Ethan. Like, hey, no, like, I'll hear it from you directly. Which is why Gabriel is able to take the thing in the first place. Like, a good job, Ethan. That was a great decision. So, you gotta go get the entity source code so you can give it to Gabriel, because Gabriel is gonna put the bomb in there to have a figurative gun against the entity's head to make it do what it wants him to do. But the real plan is we're gonna upload the entity into, I don't remember what it's called, like the Apocalypse Vault or something, which is like in South Africa. It's like, here's basically all the important shit about humanity, so if we end up blowing ourselves up, whatever's left can know what they need to, I suppose. And like, okay, we're gonna put the entity in there where it wants to go, but it's okay because we're gonna trick it, and we're actually gonna trap it, as they keep calling it, I guess I had an accent there for a second. They're gonna put the genie in a bottle, and they only have the blink of an eye to be able to do it. Like, okay, this is insane, but that's kind of it's an impossible mission. It's supposed to be insane. That's kind of what makes it fun. But I don't know. So they go to give the shit to Gabriel, and Ethan says, I'm expendable at this point. Like, we need Benji for the technical stuff. We need Grace because she's going to have the perfect timing, because if we leave the entity in there too long, it's going to be uploaded. If we take it out too quickly, it's not, the genie's not going to enter the bottle. We need just enough time for the genie to enter the bottle, but not to go past the bottle. I guess the metaphor. So, like, we need her for the timing. We need Benji for all the technical shit. You don't really need me anymore. So he goes to meet with Gabriel to give him the thing, but then Kittredge, I think is his name, the like head of the IMF, crashes the party, be like, I can arrest all of you. And it's like, Ethan, what's the actual plan? Well, the plan was to give that shit to him. But then Gabriel escapes without trying to take any of it. Like, he still has like the bomb code, but doesn't actually take the entity, which he needed. So, okay. And then Ethan starts chasing him, and he's like trying to kill him, but the plan was to go ahead and give him the thing. But I guess at this point it's like, well, I don't need to. And they both end up in biplanes. I'll talk about that a bit more in a sec. But they both end up in planes, and Gabriel is actively trying to kill Ethan and like shoot his plane down, despite knowing that the thing that he wants and needs, Ethan has. So it's, Gabriel, what's your plan here? Because Ethan literally said, like, in front of you, my plan is to give this dude what he wants. So Gabriel goes, hey, I'm gonna escape without getting the thing I wanted. Also, that thing you're about to give me that I really want, and I know you have, yeah, I'll just shoot you down, possibly destroying it in the process. I'm a genius. This makes no sense. This is dumb. This is really dumb. There's also this scene where, because like he sets up a giant bomb, because of course, and they're trying to defuse the bomb. They're like, well, we gotta defuse the bomb, but someone has to stay behind to do it. So the dude from Alaska's like, I'll do it, and his wife stays behind with him. And then one of the other members of the team's like, I'll stay with them too. And I remember just thinking, why? I mean, you're basically saying, hey, I'll die. That's okay. But I'm going to keep them company. And in the right context, that can work. Like, you two have known each other for years. That's your best friend, or that's like your mentor, or like that's your lover. You stay behind for that person. Like, there's circumstances where this can work. But you guys have known each other for, I don't know, like maybe a few days? Maybe? I don't know how long Ethan was in that decompression chamber. I don't think I've seen you two exchange more than like 10 words. So it's not like I really feel the bond, and it's not like the guy's going to be here alone. Like, his wife's there with him. Like, it's sad that you're basically dooming them both to die, but like, that sucks. But you're just like, no, it's okay. I'll stay behind with them. Like, I'm not going to be much use in there anyway. I don't know. I guess your life doesn't matter that much to you. But of course, as they keep messing with the bomb, it turns out, hey, you know, if we cut these 3 wires at the exact same time, we can survive. It's good you stayed behind, so there's 3 of us. However, we will only have, it's not that we do this, we're safe. It means we give ourselves 10 seconds. So we have 10 seconds to boot ourselves all the way to that door, open the door, and like get inside and be safe. You think we can do this in 10 seconds? Nah. But of course they somehow do, off screen, of course. And I'm like, I don't believe you. I'm sorry, movie. I am sorry, Impossible Missions. But I don't actually believe this part of it was possible. This just looks and feels like bullshit. Did I want the 3 to blow up? No. But I'm also like, this feels cheap. You started the movie by blowing up Luther. It's a pretty big move. It's a pretty ballsy move. But now it just feels cheap. Why didn't you kill Ethan, like, halfway through the movie? You kept hyping up how dangerous and how stupid his plan to go into the submarine was. And he's underwater for a long time. And, like, without a shirt. So, like, he's cold as fuck. And there's all the fucking up of the water pressure. And also, I don't know how long he was there not able to breathe. The man himself even says, I'm expendable for the end here. What if he really was? What if the movie killed him off and the rest of the team has to finish this without him? This was his final reckoning. And a character who's done so much shit and has planned so much shit, crazier and crazier than the last, finally made a plan that was too crazy. Because as invincible as he thinks he is, he's still human. I think that would have been a lot more interesting. He doesn't die at the end either. He's fine. He has the entity and is, like, cool, I guess. He doesn't retire either, like I think he did at the end of 3. So even if he did, he can still do this shit. Like, aside from Luther dying, nothing in this movie feels final. There's all, like, the callbacks to the previous films, which feels like, alright, we're doing this to acknowledge everything that came before us, but this is the ending. But nothing about the ending itself feels like one. There's also this scene where they have, like, the son of Phelps, like the traitor from the first movie, is a character. And he's like, you and I will have our reckoning, Ethan, and blah, blah, blah. And there's a scene at the fucking end. The gun handshake. Where he shows up just, like, pointing a gun at Ethan. And then puts the gun away and shakes his hand. And, like, they shake hands and dap each other up. And it's so dumb. Like, I'm not gonna decry the two men bonding and dapping each other up. Like, that's cool, that's fine. But just nah, I'm just playing. Like, it's just funny. And I'm sorry, just the gun handshake is okay. But I know why they didn't kill Ethan in the middle of the film. It's so we could have the crazy shit with the biplanes. Where there's a plane in the air, and Tom Cruise is on the plane, and he's trying to get into the cockpit. Has to, like, punch a dude who's already flying the plane out, and start flying the plane, and then getting into the plane, and then having a bit of a dogfight. And then as his plane is falling apart, like it's a Final Destination movie, he has to climb from his plane onto the other plane, and deal with the fact that the dude in the cockpit knows he's there and is trying to shake him off. It's really cool. I've criticized almost everything else in the movie. It's like, look, this was boring or stupid or not that cool. This was cool. I really enjoyed watching this shit. I don't know why they didn't kill him off at the end. I know why, because you gotta leave the door open. They kind of John Wick Ford it. Except in that movie, John is dead. But with the way it's, like, his kind of eulogy is written, feels like it's, if they really wanted to make John Wick 5, I don't think Ballerina's 5. I think that is, like, a prequel and, like, a spinoff at the same time, but I'm not super sure. But anyways, if they want to make a full John Wick 5, I feel like the doors open, but if they don't, and you just want to say, no, John dies at the end, completely different movie. But if you want to say that, for now, that's okay. Here, it feels like the same thing. Like, we're not going to kill off Ethan Hunt, so if we want to make Mission Impossible 9, we can. And if we don't want to, we don't have to, because I don't know. It was his final reckoning, even though, again, like, he's alive, unretired, not in prison. There is literally nothing to stop this man. And after the crazy shit he just pulled, why wouldn't he feel that he's even more invincible? It's fine. It's really just fine. I'm just looking at my notes. Like, do I have anything else I really want to say? Sorry, I have just the gun handshake written at one point. It's like, yeah, it's pretty. Oh yeah, there is this one part where he just like jumps out of a helicopter like into, again, like the cold ass Bering Sea. That was pretty neat. There were some parts in the not the Russian submarine, but like an American submarine where like there were some pretty good like one-liners. Oh, that's right, that's right. One of my favorite parts of going to see this movie had nothing at all to do with the movie. But when we left the theater, me and my friends were just like sitting around talking, discussing the movie, making fun of the gun handshake. And there's a fucking goose in the middle of the parking lot just chilling. And there was this little girl that was like trying to play with the goose and like get it to come over to her, but it wouldn't. And at one point, like, there's a car that goes up to it, the goose in the middle of the road. The car's like, oh, okay, let me just go around it because no one's coming from the other side. Then later another car approaches, just sits there, is waiting for the goose to move. The goose doesn't, so it starts honking the horn at the goose, and the goose starts honking back. And so the car eventually has to go around. But watching this car like play chicken with a goose and the goose did not budge was so funny. And I'm not gonna say that was more entertaining than the movie, but it was probably more entertaining than like 2/3 of his 3-hour movie. Yeah, that was Mission Impossible 8. It was fine.